Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the AFLW show. We had a couple of weeks off with the holidays, and we are up and running again, heading into round one next weekend. Can you believe it? And this evening, I've got the one and only Pom joining me. Good evening, Pom. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Did you have a good Chrissy?
I did indeed. Pom's go large Christmas, so we have had 4 days of feasting. Last bit of turkey today went into a curry, so finally turkey is out of my life for another year because I did get a big turkey this year. So yeah, apart from that, I'm good. Probably put on about 10 kgs in 4 days, but nearly knocked out my family in a game of backyard cricket because they sledged me about the Ashes. So had to just let them know the Poms can play cricket. But apart from that, it was good.
That sounds like a very full-on Pommy Christmas. That's good. Mine was a little bit more subdued, just at the family of my in-laws, and had a lovely day, and backed it up again on Boxing Day. But now it's just full steam ahead into 2022, and looking forward to round one next weekend. It's come around quick.
Well, I mean, these 4 days are the most pointless days, aren't they, after Christmas? They're like the nothing days until we pretend we're not parents and we get absolutely wasted New Year's Eve and then we go back to normal life, don't we? So I'm like you. Yeah. I'm itching that next week we have the football back and we can just go back to a normal life of being the part-time dad Monday to Friday who works, and then weekends are for football. I'm looking forward to that.
That's it. And on that note, let's get this show on the road.
Versio with all the experience in the world. She kicks.
And there it is, just on half time. Manny Prasparkas.
Forever going to dance to that.
I love the quality. Intro.
We say it every week. It's quality.
It is good.
Well, in true fashion, we'll start straight off the bat and pick up where we left off. I think the last conversation that was had, I think it was a couple of weeks ago now. I can't even remember what day of the week it is anymore. Like you said, the next 4 days are kind of pointless. I think we spoke about Charlotte Wilson, Terry and I. So I believe the next person, the next cab off the rank, I should say, is the one and only Nicola Stevens. What a transformation this young lady has had since coming across from Collingwood.
Well, I mean, she's converted, isn't she? So we can like her. She made the best decision of her life. Chose the right side of Melbourne to play for.
That she did. She's come along leaps and bounds in our forward line, and I think last year proved that she can be the forward that we want from her. She's dynamic in the forward line. She's played some X amount of games now. She's strong in the contest, quick on her feet, very fast thinking, and I don't see why she can't take another step in 2021/2022.
Oh, Spawn, yeah. I mean, she's been converted, isn't she, into that pressure forward role now as well, and that's something that we desperately needed. I think also a huge shout out to her because didn't she win the off-season Jim Steins Award for her work she does with dementia from memory?
Yeah, she was nominated for the Community Leadership Award for her amazing work around Dementia Australia with her mum.
So, I mean, again, we've talked about it at length in this show about what the girls do outside of football and how that helps culture. So, again, another real good role model for them younger girls coming through, that she's willing to put herself out there and lead the way, not just on the field, but also off field and how to carry herself. So, a tremendous unit.
Yeah, well, that's it. And just having a look at all of her accolades so far, she came second in the club's best and fairest, only behind the one and only DV, Darcy Versio. And I believe she's a left footer. So there's not many quality left footers in our AFLW side that I would rather have the ball in hand. Definitely Nicola is one of them. Like you mentioned, her pressure is fantastic around the footy, and I just love it a bit. She's sponsored by the Carlton Cheer Squad, has been since she arrived at Icon Park from that other team that shall not be named. But I think that she's going to have a huge huge year, and alongside Darcy, I don't see why she can't push for leading goal kicker, even just not at club level, but league level.
Yeah, I mean, since she's come up forward, she's banged in the goals. 5th most goals kicked for Carlton already. So, I mean, bearing in mind she's a convert, that's a phenomenal accolade. So, like you say, her and Darcy are really going to be adding that pressure, adding that bit of class around that forward half. So, we're in good stead. We've probably got better forwards in the girls than we have in the men's in the smaller category. We've got a plethora of them.
That's it. Well, she's listed on the Carlton webpage as a key defender, so that just shows how a bit behind our website is. She hasn't played defence in about 2 years, so
you've got the AFL to thank for that. Even the men's, they put some obscure positions. Remember, Bailey Smith was listed as a key defender for 2020. So I mean, let that sink in.
Yeah, wow. What can you say? You know, that is not the brightest. What's one thing you're looking forward to with Nicola outside of football? Do you think she'll be going in leaps and bounds in her off footy kind of things, or do you think she'll probably be more focused on her footy this year, given her 2021?
I think with the girls like Nicola, because we've got a plethora of young players, I think I'm looking at her really setting the standard, not just on the field, but off it, being a real leadership role, because I think that's probably the thing we're fortunate with. A lot of our older players have played a hell of a lot of games. There isn't many older players there that haven't played lots of games. So we've got a real nice core of them mid to older players to bring these young girls on, because that's why I think there'll be a final side. I know a lot of people have written us off, but I think where the leadership is around the ground is so important in AFL football, and Nicola's one of them. The forwards need to be organised like they do down the back. We've got Kez down the back, orchestrating that. Up forward, we've got Nicola and Darcy, who are really going to lead the way there. So we're in a fortunate position, I think, and that's what I look at Nicola to do, to really guide these young girls through the process, integrate them quickly, and do what Fremantle did last year, hit the ground running and not looking back.
Yeah, well, that's it. And I think that with her years of experience now, being one of the, like you said, one of the older players on the team, I think that she will be one of the best in our forward line, and we need that desperately after the last off-season period where we lost a couple of key players. So I'm excited to see what Nicola has to bring to the table in 2022, which is only a week away, thank goodness.
It's crept up on us. It's like Christmas. It's crept up.
It actually has. The next girl on our list, I don't think we've seen any of. I think she was one of our sign-on players in the off-season, Courtney Jones. Haven't had too much to do in regards to finding out a bit more about her, because I'm not sure who she is, to be perfectly honest, which is an exciting prospect, because you get all these new players in and you just want to know more about them. So she's been classed as a midfielder, 169 centimetres, 21. She's recruited from the Southern Saints VFL. So she was picked up in the 2018 NAB draft, 4th round selection, 59 overall. But I think she played for the Southern Saints. So she played for St Kilda in 2019.
Yeah, so I did some digging for us.
Brilliant.
I saw 2021 she did play a full season for our beloved VFLW.
Beautiful.
So she was there. So averaged 13.3 touches from her 9 games, over a goal a game and 3 tackles. So coming off the wing, going across the half forward, small forward line. So decent stats there in the VFLW, very solid numbers. So someone that, again, we'll be looking at Nicola for a bit of guidance into the senior game. Obviously hasn't quite hit into the senior side yet, but very tasty VFL numbers for last year for her.
Yeah, well, Nick here put it perfectly for me. Thank you, Nick. Welcome back. Hope you had a good Christmas for yourself and Michelle. So yeah, Courtney Jones was it's been on list for 3 years, small forward. So that kind of marries up with the stats that you picked from the VFLW side. And I know a lot of girls at VFL level had been picked up by AFL lists in the off season. So hopefully, having her on our list for the last 3 years, she finally gets her crack in the forward line, because I know we've been talking about it across the journey. I mean, this preseason that we were looking for forwards. So let's just hope that with our key exits that she gets her opportunity to show us why she was picked up in the first place. So she's definitely one to watch. Because we haven't seen any of her, because obviously we weren't allowed to go to any of the VFL games in 2021, and they had their season cut short as well with COVID. So I hope we don't see too much of her in the VFL and more so in the AFLW season, which is looking promising for her. So fingers crossed.
Well, there's opportunity there, isn't there, with the young side? Opportunity for them to come in. And definitely this season, hopefully it is a full season. Hopefully COVID does what the England cricket team does and just hangs around here but doesn't really impact. So that's what we're hoping. Maybe COVID can take a leaf out of Joe Root's book and just be here and not do anything.
The elephant in the room. I do want to apologise for your team's lack of effort. I must say, they showed it. Nice. They put an incredible stat up that is daylight between Joe Root and the rest of the English cricket side when it comes to batting. So I do apologise in advance, but I'm not sorry.
Well, Extras is our third leading run scorer. So it's a shame Extras isn't South African, because we could maybe sort him out a passport. But maybe we need to go back to South Africa. It seemed to be a successful technique for the English.
Well,
let's go back.
You need another Kevin Peterson's what you need. But anyway, that's another story for another day. The next girl on our list is Daisy Walker. Love Daisy Walker. She is another one of the youthful players on our list that I feel can come along in leaps and bounds in 2022. She played a few games last year. She played round 3 was her first game, and she was pick number 28 alongside Mimi Hill. 6 games she played. And she played a full VFLW season as well. So she's definitely one to watch. They've got her as a medium defender. So I'm keen to see where the season takes her. She is going to be another one to watch.
Yeah, exactly. Spot on. And she showed a lot as well with a marking ability as well. 5 marks a game, which is pretty impressive. I'm sorry, just under a mark a game, one a game, and all of them being intercept marks. 4 of them were intercept marks, which is decent. So she's building that part of the game up. I believe just looking into her rookie draft, she was more of a forward in juniors and been converted. So that's again another string to Carlton's bow, that we have developed these players in positions that maybe were wrong at juniors. We saw Nicola Stevens, we talked about her, who spent a lot of time down the back, went forward. So again, another player that we're going to be looking at. If it's a long season, we're expecting to use our list, and that's what the good sides do. And definitely someone that them 6 games last year will stand her in good stead moving into a full 2022.
Yeah, well, Malcolm here has highlighted her running capacity. She is quite quick from memory. I know there's been a long time in between the two seasons, so I'm looking forward to seeing what Daisy Walker can produce if given the opportunity, because I know she wasn't given as much opportunity. But given, obviously, with Katie Loynes moving on, that defence may need just that extra bit of speed, because I know we lost a couple of others as well. So I'm actually really looking forward to seeing what Daisy has to offer, and hopefully we'll have more to say about team selection next week once hopefully teams going to be released prior to next Wednesday night. If not, we can talk of our fantasy 20 or our fantasy 18 before round 1, because it's going to be a huge one next week against Collingwood. And I know that no matter men's or women's, the rivalry is there. And I know the banter will start very early in the week between ourselves and every Collingwood supporter. I know I've had a bit of banter with a couple already, and it's not even the end of the year or round 1 yet. So banter game's strong.
Well, I mean, it's always good as well, because Icon and the local grounds, if you scull a beer, you don't get kicked out like you do at the MCG. So, I mean, if you want to, so if you want to scull a beer, get yourself down to the local footy.
It's going to be interesting to see how they're going to set up the ground, actually, which we can talk about, because obviously with the redevelopment, where we would usually sit as a cheer squad no longer exists. So it's going to be interesting to see, one, how many tickets they'll have available, because I know tickets went on sale, I think, before Christmas. So it'll be interesting to see how many will be in attendance and what that kind of looks like, because obviously that whole section beside the goals is gone, and all that seating there is gone. It's just a big gaping hole in which you probably have seen on all of the social media for both men's and women's prior to Christmas training. So it'd be an interesting setup. We're still unsure where we're going to be setting ourselves up as a cheer squad, but it'd be interesting to see where it all lands come next Sunday at 4 p.m. But once that ball's bounced, I think we're all going to just take a collective sigh of relief and just go, footy's back, because I know how much we've all missed it. Especially,
it's going to be interesting as well how they go with the COVID, isn't it? Because we know Gold Coast have had their scare. It's going to be interesting to see.
We've already had our own. I know Collingwood have had theirs, Richmond have had theirs. So a couple of A-League teams at the moment have had a couple of cases. So games have been postponed and stuff like that. So if it should happen during the season, including even in the men's, it'd be interesting to see how that landscape will look. And how they go about postponing games or rearranging games and that sort of stuff. Because I think they've said now that they have to have a certain amount of girls available on a list. I think they came out and said like there's 16 primary girls plus 5 or 6 train-ons plus a few others, I think, in case something like this happens. But it'll be interesting to see, especially with the way New South Wales is looking at the moment, whether they even play games in New South Wales at this point.
It'd be interesting to see if they do something like the NBA they've done and given them concessions that they can sign players ad hoc and move them to like an imaginary short-term injury list. Because obviously we've seen the EPL. We've got a girl here ready to go. Get her in.
Get me in. I'm ready. Sign me up.
I've got Nicola Stevens. We can throw you in.
Well, hopefully. We'll see where that lands. But hey, if they're asking for players, I'll definitely put my hand up and say, "Yep, right here." May not be any good anymore, but we'll see where that lands.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine. You'll have all of us in the comments backing you in, and I promise I'll go easy on you on fan cams.
Look, you've already told me on a number of occasions that you'll be front row, ready to cheer. So I know I'll have a whole crew ready to come watch me play.
It'd be good round 1 against Collingwood. I'll be very disappointed if you didn't come away with a fine. I have to say.
Look, as long as I can tackle Bree Davey, I'll be happy. So
all right.
I'll pack my boots just in case. Half, if you're watching, I'm ready.
Let's do it. Let's get you in.
Next girl on our list is Brooke Vickers. Another player that we probably haven't seen much of. She was pick 23 in this year's draft. They've got her as a utility that played for Oakley Chargers and Vic Metro. She has a run. She's good at a good run and a long kick. So that's where she does the most of her damage. So we do need long kicks in our side. I know Maddie Guerin's one of those players. I would love to see her have a crack. Like I said, I haven't seen too much of her. Obviously, being such a younger player, she was born in 2003. I was in grade 6. So that just puts that into perspective. She's 18 and she's been labelled as a midfielder at 172 centimetres. I think that's a pretty average size for most AFLW players these days, is around that 160 to 170 mark. But no, I'm excited to see. Hopefully this year they get to blood a little bit more of the youth that they're actually bringing into the club, because it's all well and good bringing them in, but if they're not going to play a game, what's the point, really? So Brooke's definitely one of those ones that I'm really keen to see. Just given obviously stories that I've read about her at under 18 level.
Yeah, well, Oakley Chargers, they won the flag, didn't they, coming into this? So
Sure.
just reading some of her reports from some of the analytical scouts, one of the youngest players in that side, and was given some midfield time off halfback in games where she amassed possessions, ball-winning ability, hitting up targets, rebound 50. So a lot of similarities when you go through her numbers and also look at what her highlight reel is in a young Sam Doherty. He has these abilities to peel off his man, intercept the ball and get the ball moving, playing these smart 1-2s and moving up the wing. So obviously high esteem, Oakley Chargers. They do have a very good youth team as well. They're usually lit to the AFLW and the men's draft as well. So good establishment.
Yeah, no, they're a wild-oiled machine out Oakley way. I know the Southeast is a very strong youth and senior women's competition, just from experience and watching them play. So I feel that if she can get a couple of games into her with players that are young, that are 18, that don't really have that elite level experience, even just giving them a couple of games throughout the year just to help them build their confidence, I think is very important. And it's something that I think we've lacked over the last couple of years, because we've always gone with just your big name players, but you've always found diamonds in the rough with a couple of the younger girls. So I'm really, really looking forward to seeing Brooke get a crack this year.
Well, she's at a great club. We've got a lot of talented girls who play her position. So obviously a lot of experience to learn off as well. I mean, if you look at Elise O'Day as well, similar type of player in the skill sets and the mirror, and Elise O'Day known for her ball use, something that Brooke's got a tremendous write-up from her senior coach at Port Melbourne. So saying that she's an elite user and someone who has exceptional composure on the ball. So that's something for Carlton to build on, because you can never have enough ball users, can you?
No, well, that's right. And sometimes key ball winners are what you need. We need someone who's going to be that hard in and under Jess Hosking type. Not afraid, or Sarah Hosking even. Like they were both prepared to put their bodies on the line, and we kind of need girls of that caliber ready to go. Because you'll have your outside mids, and you've got your Grace Egan's, and you've got your Maddie Prasparkases, but you need those other in and under players that are prepared to get that ball out to our elite ball users. Because it's the same in the men's. Like you want those big bull type players to get in and under, and I think that hopefully Brooke can be one of those players in and under and get that ball out to the elite ball users.
Spot on. I mean, it's something that obviously the transitional threat she'll provide, and you'd imagine that looking at last year, that was something that both the men and the women had in common. Sometimes we got stagnated in the back half and couldn't quite get ourselves out of it. So there's something already that she brings to our team. Good user of the ball, someone that's going to hit up targets. So it's something that's an extra bit of artillery for half to use.
Yeah, well, that's right. And then we need all the artillery we can get.
Well, we need to do the double, don't we? We need the girls to win, because that means the boys will win that year as well. And 2022 will become 2020 blue.
Oh, I actually like that. That's a
clever.
Good hashtag.
That's clever, that from your Uncle Pam.
Oh, did you just come up with that on the spot, or have you had that one in the works for a little while?
I've had that one for a while. But there it is. It's got airtime.
It's got airtime. I'm more than happy for you to have that airtime with me. So thank you very much for that pearl.
They are. Steal it. Get it trending, ladies and gents.
Get that on Twitter. Get that trending.
Get it on.
Blue. Love it. Last girl on our list for this evening, I know it's gone really quick, 25 minutes, is Keeley Sherar. I believe she's another one of our draftees that we picked up in the off-season. She is labelled as a forward. So another she's from what I can see of her, she's kind of that Georgia G build. So there's nothing more exciting than an 18-year-old who could potentially be the next Georgia G. She, just looking at some of her stats, she's an Eastern Rangers draftee. An impressive turn of foot, averaged 14.8 disposals in her NAB League competition. That's impressive. She played 4 games for Hawthorn's VFLW side. And that's impressive. For an 18-year-old to be racking up that many disposals at that level just shows me that she can be more than just a forward, in my opinion anyway.
Yes, Spawn, this is someone that I'm familiar with, a good friend of mine, and he's a huge Hawthorn fan, and he is obsessed with the VFLW. So when Carlton picked him up, this is something that he sent me a few YouTube videos of this girl and was raving about her, saying that he was gutted and he's coming to steal her when Hawks finally get a girl's side. But she's, she was very exceptional. Some of the games that he did send me, one thing is evident, her tackle pressure. So you can see that she will go back into the midfield. She's definitely got that nous, the accumulation ability. But one thing that is evident is her ability to be up for the fight. That's one thing that she showed at Hawthorn, her tackle pressure, the fact that she's willing to do the team thing as well, play as a forward. She was a short-term pickup for them. So that is something that you can never have enough people like that at the club who are willing to put their personal choice of where to play on the back burner and do the team thing. We heard Liam Stocker talk about it, playing down back. He doesn't care where he plays as long as he plays. He'll do his job. And them kind of players are influential around the club that are willing to do anything. So exciting prospect. Like you say, Georgia G build. She's got that Georgia G vibe. So let's get around her.
No, I'm really, really looking forward to seeing her as well. Like I say this about all of them, but it's just one of those things that you just want to be excited to see all your new players and all your young players, because these are going to be the players of the future. We're not going to have your DVs forever. We're not going to have your Elise O'Days. We're not going to have your Kez Harringtons forever. So we want to be able to see these girls and see them come up. And here's another one. Very talented. Highlight reel is a good one. Same height as Darcy, but perfect. That's the kind of player we want. We need someone who can play both, and we need that versatility in our forward line. And I'm super excited to see where our forward line can go, because I know that's been our biggest talking point across the preseason is what's our forward line structure going to look like, which is a really good segue to my next topic, which I didn't bring up with you before we started the show. But I think it's important that we talk about it before round 1, and that was our practice match against the Saints. And I was following the scores on Twitter, and within the first 5 minutes, Darcy Bessier had 2 goals on the board. So picked up where they left off at the end of 2021 season. And from all accounts, I'm not sure if you were across our practice match, but we ran out 18-point winners, which is a really, really good start for us. I know we weren't at full strength, which is another positive sign. I know that we had a couple of players that didn't play that game, but it's positive. Have you had a chance to have a look at the match report from that game?
I was. Me and my wife is the biggest St Kilda fan in the world, so we did have the last minute shopping trip as a bet on this one. So luckily, Dad got to stay at home and drink beers while she traipsed to Chadston. So shout out to the Carlton girls for making me avoid people. But yeah, I sat down and watched the practice highlights. Was a bit disappointed I couldn't watch it live.
Yeah, I don't think they had a live stream going, which is, like you said, pretty disappointing. But just
in 2021, come on, people. How hard is it to get someone with a webcam? Come on, we can make this happen.
Exactly. Look, I was just having a read of each of the quarter breakdowns just on the website, and Nicola had kicked a goal in the first quarter. Grace Egan was a force to be reckoned with in the middle, and Maddie Prasparkas was just racking up the possessions early on, which is what you'd like to see. You like to see your big name players having an impact in one of these kind of things. And just even looking at it, St Kilda did put up a bit of a fight in the second and third quarters, but the last quarter was probably the biggest one where they didn't really, I think nobody scored. Or if they did, it was a couple of points each way. But just reading the wrap up from the game just shows me how ready I feel our girls will be for round one. I
think the fourth quarter, what is really, really impressive for me is the wind. We know what the wind's like at Icon when it goes a certain way, and St Kilda had the wind with them in their advantage second and fourth. And for Carlton girls to not concede a goal, just 3 points, it's a great test. Because as we know, when you're at Icon, if you have got a bit of a breeze there, that ball, you can kick it in the air and it goes 75 metres. I mean, I could probably kick a long bomb from 60. So, and I'm an old, haggard, weathered man. So, very impressive from the girls.
You can Malcolm Blight it. It's fine.
Yeah, I'll be fine.
No, well, in saying that, like I mentioned before, with the big gaping hole at Icon Park now, that breeze is going to be coming in all angles. So it'll be interesting to see, because it was a very hot day for memory that the girls played in on that morning. And it'll be interesting to see what which way it kind of goes, the wind, next Sunday night. But I'm super looking forward to seeing our girls in action. And as I've just brought up before, they had someone there taking photos. No reason why they couldn't live stream it. Couldn't agree more.
Honestly, this is my biggest annoyance in the world with the men's, the women's, and it seems to be only in Australia. It's every sport. We are in 2021. Sports teams in Australia. If you can take a picture, people don't care about the quality. Just stick a freaking camera halfway. That's all you got to do. Just something. It's not hard. Charge us $2 if you've got to. Do something. Come on.
If they can get a recorder at one of my local games and record the entire grand final, I'm sure somebody could have stood there with a camcorder or even their mobile phone and just live streamed it off on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or something.
I mean, I'd even up the deal. Tell you what, buy my beers for the day and I will sit there with my own camera equipment, my own recording things, and give commentary if it needs be. Just pay for my drinks. Like, that is it. It's a cheap night for me. But
that could go downhill very quickly. That could go downhill very quickly. The commentary could go from 0 to 100 very fast if we refer to our lives with each other that we've had before.
Well, I mean, trust me, I probably won't be anything I've said worse than Blue Abroad. But I do want to give a shout out. I don't know if we are covering it. I'm jumping the gun. But Darcy Vesio today made a wonderful public statement that she's non-binary. And that is, congratulations to her. For someone old like me and a generation stuck behind, this is all new to me. But to my kids, they're experts in this. They educate me, which is great to hear. But no, it's fantastic. These are great conversations to have. And for someone like me who never grew up with this, like, honestly, just it confuses me. I've got a greater understanding through our sports stars. So credit to Darcy and phenomenal bravery. And I love the niceness and how she did it. What has impressed me about the two girls, the Gold Coast and Darcy, is the way that they've come out and said this in such a friendly nature as well, that it's not aggressive, and
No.
they are going to understand there is people like me who will put their foot in the mouth, but it's about that knowledge, and credit to her. What a hero, what a champion.
Yeah, and I believe the pronouns that Darcy has chose to use are they, them. So I believe they've made a wonderful decision for themselves. And the way they did it was beautiful. And I can't imagine how hard it would have been to publicly come out and do something like that. Same with the Gold Coast player that came out earlier. I think it was late last week. So we're moving into a society where people are not afraid to be who they want to be. And I think that's a beautiful thing. Like for myself, my pronouns will be she, her. And I know at the AFL, we're working hard to be more inclusive in the pride space. And one of my colleagues is working very, very hard to bring that to life. And I think it's important that we acknowledge everyone who chooses to be who they want to be. No prejudice at all, because it doesn't belong here.
100%. I always think it's a weird thing, because when the sportsmen come out and the sportswomen and the sports people come out and say these things of how they have their lifestyle, their sexuality, their identity, it's incredible the feedback they get that can be negative. And it always blags my head, because working in HR at work, one of the big things is making people feel comfortable. So that is my priority. So it's weird that it seems just because you're a sports person, you're not entitled to feel comfortable in doing your job. Because effectively, this is just a job. This is working at Coles, but a little bit more glamorous, really. But it is their day-to-day job. They've got to go to work and feel comfortable. And I wouldn't want one of my staff to say, Dan, you call me he. It offends me. It upsets me. Or it makes me feel uncomfortable. When it's such a simple change that I can change it and go, okay, now you're comfortable and you're productive, and that's what I want. So incredibly brave from Darcy. And I loved how they did their simple humor as well, saying that they'll still answer to Darcy unless they're in trouble, because that's a joke I have. If you call me Daniel.
In true Darcy fashion.
It's something I always joke about. If you call me Daniel, if I don't like it, because I'm in trouble if you call me my full title. So it's something that it made me laugh, because that's what I always say to everyone.
It was so lighthearted and true to Darcy, and incredibly humbled by how they did it. And as Nick mentioned, incredible. Couldn't see them in any other light. Always be Darcy to us. So
I thought Darcy gave a 101 on how to explain a difference of opinion as well. It was non-confrontational. It was, this is it. This is what I want from it. There you are. There was no making you feel awkward. And I think that's an incredibly beautiful thing, because it's quite hard. I find, as someone who is older, a lot of people, when they make statements, I find them quite confrontational at times, but I thought that was beautifully done. There's no way you could have any issue with that at all in any realm, because it was so wonderfully done. And what a credit to society Darcy is on a broad scale. What a great human being.
No, and I think that, it's just one of those things now that there will be people that will have negative comments, but I please ask you to keep them to yourselves, because I'm not about negative comments. It comes back to the old saying, if you haven't got anything nice to say, don't say it at all, to be perfectly honest.
Well, I mean, it's like the old argument, isn't it? We haven't had a gay AFL footballer, and there has to be one there. And I always think about this. How must they feel when they see these statements and everyone's saying, oh, just make them come out. Can't be that hard. No one cares. Just think when you write stuff, even though you might not care, but you might say something in joke, think how that might make them feel. Because humor is funny, but it's not when it makes someone feel bad. You've got to remember that. So credit to Darcy, and what an incredible role model. It makes my job easier as a dad when we've got people like that for them to look up to.
100%. Could not agree anymore. And I think that's the perfect way to end the show this evening on a really, really positive note.
It's not often I end on a positive note. Don't get used to it, people.
No, but before I do sign off for the evening, I would like to put it out there to anybody who is interested in tipping, AFLW tipping for the upcoming season. The Cheer Squad have set up a tipping competition, $25 each. You can head to the Cheer Squad page to sign up. Check all their socials. Check my socials. I've shared it as well. And yeah, just hit us up if you have any questions. We'd love to see as many people getting involved with the tipping. And next week we will have a special guest hopefully joining us with tips for the upcoming week, and hopefully that'll be a recurring thing every week, a little segment. And that is my little piece for the evening.
What do we win?
What do you win? We win a signed Guernsey. I think it's an AFLW team signed Guernsey we've gone with this year. If you finish first, please correct me if I'm wrong, Nick, or Cheer Squad page that are in the comments. I believe it is a signed AFLW jumper. Hopefully we get that in the coming weeks once things are a little bit. Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much to my friends at the Cheer Squad page. First prize of the team signed Guernsey. So got to be in it to win it, folks. And I would like to see your name in that tipping competition, Pommy, because I believe that you would be an absolute star at tipping.
Mate, I can't come in as an expert analyst and win it, can I? Mate, I'll be in it, and I'll be competitive. I'll be throwing shade, get inside people's heads, dropping fake tips on Blue Abroad. Don't worry about it.
I bet you will. But no, pleasure as always, Pommy. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. Thank you, everybody. Have a safe New Year's Eve. I know it's come very, very quickly. Be safe in 2022. We will see you next Wednesday for the preview of round 1. I am so excited. But thank you once again, everybody, for watching. Quick side note there. The gauntlet has been thrown. But have a good night, everyone, and we'll see you next week.